Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Bri, and I will be presenting my project on plastic reduction that I did with my host business, the Oregon Coast Aquarium. So a little bit about me is I'm going into my junior year at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, where I study environmental studies and international affairs. And I kind of chose these majors because I have a desire to work in environmental law and policy on an international level. So that's a little bit about me, but this is just an overview of the topics that I will be talking about today in regards to my project with the aquarium. So the Oregon Coast Aquarium is located in Newport, and since its opening in 1992, it has welcomed over 15 million visitors. And the aquarium prides itself as one of the key marine educational resources for both Oregonians and out-of-state visitors. And as one of the leading marine educational resources, they like to partner with other local and national organizations to focus on issues in regards to marine advocacy, animal welfare and rehabilitation, and ocean literacy. And as part of a champion for marine conservation and health, they have committed to reducing their single-use plastics as a part of the Aquarium Conservation Partnership, and that is one of the reasons why they have partnered with OASE to work on plastic pollution. So before I get into my projects, I just want to preface that the ultimate goal of this program and the aquarium's commitment is to work on reducing or preventing plastic waste. But when that's not possible, the next best steps are to reuse and recycle, with disposal being the least preferred option. So these are my three main project goals. So my first goal was to just come in and understand where the sources of single-use plastics were within the aquarium's operations. And I did this with by shadowing different departments at the aquarium and seeing where their main plastic waste streams were, and if these were within their direct control to make changes to. And then from there, I worked on identifying alternative options for the three waste streams that I identified during my shadow. And when I was doing this, I was keeping affordability and feasibility in mind, since the Oregon Coast Aquarium is a nonprofit organization. And then my last goal was to craft a guidance document on plastic reduction that both staff and volunteers could use on these recommendations and future actions into plastic reduction. So so after I identified these three waste streams, I then ended up dividing my 4 projects into primary and secondary projects based on affordability and its ability to be implemented in the near future. So my first primary project focused on microfiber prevention. And for this, we ultimately determined that we wanted to test out different filtration systems. So we ran an experiment, and this is kind of an overview of what that looked like. So I worked first to just identify 2 filters to test, and we ultimately decided on 2 external filters to place on 2 washing machines on site. And then once we installed them, I started monitoring them for 2 weeks, where I asked staff to record different metrics on the materials that they were washing. And once these 2 weeks were up, I then went and collected this lint so that I could quantify an annual rate of prevention. But before I could do that, on the left, you see it's kind of like a wet goo mess. So I had to dry it out so I could get the most accurate weight for that upscale metric. And that brings me to my second project, which focused on reusable dishware in the cafe. So currently the cafe and coffee shop at the aquarium are using compostable disposables, which research has shown are more environmentally damaging than reusables and some other forms of disposables. So I first had to start out by just gathering information about these compostables and reusables and kind of doing some myth busting with some of the staff at the aquarium, in particular their green team, who will take over these recommendations. And then mainly this project just worked on tracking the annual waste that was produced by these compostables. And I did this through gathering information on the quantity of disposables that they were using within 1 calendar year. And this is the same process that I did in the coffee shop, which I'll talk about next. So that moves me into my secondary projects, which were areas for improvement that I identified during my shadow, but will need further considerations before the aquarium can move towards implementing them. So back to the coffee shop and implementing a reusable cup and lid system. As I mentioned, I tracked all that annual waste at the same time as the cafe, as the food and beverage department at the aquarium purchases all of those items together. However, unlike the cafe, due to the nature of the coffee shop and the fact that guests usually take items to go as they walk around the facility, there's still some logistic questions that need to be answered, in particular when it comes to setting up a system of return, since the aquarium has both indoor and outdoor spaces, and how to keep our animals safe without having further outdoor critters come. As well as if the current staffing can handle the uptake in dishwashing tasks. And my last project focused on investigating alternative glove options and glove disposal. So I initially just wanted to get a good sense of how many gloves the aquarium was going through in a year. And once I did that, I then investigated alternatives, and which were reusable gloves and then glove recycling programs. However, due to the current operations at the aquarium, reusable gloves are not being recommended. And this is because some of the departments already use them for tasks where they can, such as food preparation for animals. So once I determined that recycling was the better option for how the aquarium operates, I then researched different programs and settled on the Kimberly-Clark Right Cycle program, since they offer a lot of transparency and assistance in setting up a recycling program on site. However, there are still some logistical questions to be answered here, especially when it comes to proper cleaning for these gloves so that they can be recycled and there's no contamination, since we deal with fish products, as well as the financial constraints that this program has. So now that I've gone over my projects, I can outline my findings. So for the microfiber filters, it would cost about $1,300 for the aquarium to implement, with an annual cost of $75 for filter replacement bags. However, the environmental result here is that over 614 grams of microfibers would be prevented from entering the wastewater system every year. And this equates to about a pound, which may not seem like a lot, but to put it in perspective, on the low end, this is 859,580,400 microfibers that would be prevented, which is quite a lot. And as for the switching to reusables in the cafe and coffee shop, this would cost the aquarium around $11,000 to implement, but after the first year, they would save $20,000. So there is a financial incentive to switch to reusables. But the best part about switching to reusables is that they would reduce their plastic consumption by over 2 tons every year. And as for the glove recycling program, to participate in this, it would cost the aquarium an additional $4,500 every year, just for the extra expense of the gloves and the shipping costs, but it would divert just under 1/2 ton of waste from going to the landfill every year. So the key takeaway here is that these recommendations will result in an annual plastic reduction of over 2 tons. And this is mainly from simply switching to reusable servingware in the cafe and coffee shop. And this brings me to lessons learned. So the first lesson that I kind of learned was I strengthened my communication skills, in particular science communication writing, when I was crafting the guidance document for staff and volunteers to use, since it's a broad audience and everyone's coming from different backgrounds and different understandings on the information for these recommendations. And then secondly, my knowledge on marine ecosystems and animals has exponentially grown while I was at the aquarium. And lastly, it has given me insight into what a career into marine advocacy could look like, and provided foundational building blocks for further endeavors into the marine field. So that brings me to the end of my presentation and to any questions that you may have.
You can just say, are there any questions? We do have like 1 minute. So.
Oh gosh. Probably the baby ray that was just on the last slide. Yeah, I got to do some like feeding for like the sharks and the rays. So yeah, they're really, really adorable. Yes.
And well done for going first. So, yeah. Wonderful. Okay.